Welcome to today's live stream. I hope you are feeling well. We are back, everyone. And it feels great to be with you once again. Oh, there you are, over there in the corner. Why are you so shy? Don't be shy. Come over here. Come on. It's nice and cool over here. We have our personal electric fan. Isn't that lovely? Come on, that's better. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan and
Mr. Steve.
There he is, look everyone. Mr. Steve is back looking very rosy, very fit, very healthy.
I wish I felt it, Mr. Duncan. Hello, everybody. Wonderful viewers from across the world, from across the universe even. Maybe we've got people from other planets watching us, Mr. Duncan, trying to learn English.
There might be people on Uranus watching, or even Saturn, or even the centre of the sun, which is what this studio feels like at the moment.
Probably, yes. The nearest star system is 3 light years away. So unless there's I don't think it would have reached them yet. Because I don't think I've been on these live streams for 3 years, have I?
Oh, great, yes.
Anyway, I'm just saying, probably hasn't reached anybody from the, Alpha Centauri, I think is the nearest star to us.
Well, that's a nice snappy way of keeping the viewers. Hi everybody, yes, this is Mr. Duncan, I'm the English teacher and this is my special guest, Mr. Steve, everyone. Are you happy now? Because I know a lot of people miss you during the week because Steve has a new life. How are you enjoying your new life?
Well, Mr. Duncan, it feels like the last 6 months hasn't happened at all because... Well, I think most of you probably know I've got a new job and it just felt like it's the same job as I was doing before, but for a different company.
Well, are you enjoying it? That's the question.
I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. I would say I'm probably more on slightly positive. I'm not really enthusiastic because after not working for 6 months and effectively retiring, it's been quite a strain physically and mentally.
Yes or no?
Well, it's in the middle, I'm saying.
In the middle, that's
it's
it.
a sort of, I'm getting used to it.
Although yesterday Steve was getting in a little bit of a state over technology. He has technology again to deal with. Anyway, we are here again. The reason why we're here is because we like English, and I have a feeling you do as well. I wonder who was first on today's live chat.
Wow.
Oh, I know already. Oh, very interesting. Hello, Beatrice. You are first on today's live chat. Congratulations. Well done to Beatrice.
Our resident artiste.
Yes, of course. Or artist.
Yes.
An artiste is a performer. An artist is a person who creates things normally through pictures and paint.
I'm sure that Beatrice is both.
I'm in a very fussy mood today.
She is both. Oh, by the way, can I just show something quickly because Tomek's on and I want to show him this.
Hello, Tomek. We are talking about you and where you live in a few moments.
We are. You've been on the news. What is this I'm holding up in my hand, Mr.
I can't
Duncan?
see it.
Well, let me hold it against
because it's
you.
green. Because it's green, it disappears. So there it is. Isn't that amazing, everyone? Can you see that?
These are the plants that have grown from the seeds that Tomek gave me in Paris. Don't do that, Mr. Duncan.
Can I just say this is not what I was expecting?
So this is one of the plants. It's a Parisian carrot.
Or just one?
Well, only 2 seeds came up. This is one of the seedlings, as we call them. A seedling, a small plant that has just emerged from its seed. and I will be putting that in the garden. And we will see if we get a carrot from it
So,
at some point.
so a whole box of seeds, and only 2 have come up.
Well, two's
is-
better than nothing. So
See-
we got 2. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I didn't plant them correctly. But there's one. The other one is on a windowsill. It's a bit floppy.
I think
but
I think it's your fault.
I will be putting it in the garden in about, I don't know, another month. I'll wait for the roots to come through the bottom.
Okay.
But Parisian carrots will be on our menu.
Don't you mean Parisian carrot? As
You
in-
might get lots of carrots from one plant, Mr. Duncan. A bunch of carrots from one plant.
Well, so far, by what I've seen so far, it's not looking good.
Let's see what happens, Mr. Duncan. I was hoping for weed,
Talking-
but we've
talk-
got carrots.
Oh, okay, Steve. I wonder why nobody watches us anymore.
Well, maybe it's because you keep interrupting me.
Or maybe you keep talking about illegal drugs.
Well, yeah, it was just a passing comment, and now you've made a big thing. of
Can
it,
I
Mr.
just say
Duncan.
we are not into illegal drugs. For those who have morals.
I think most people realise that was a joke.
Yes. We can never tell with you, though. You say everything so seriously. We can never tell if you're joking or not.
Of course, I'm always joking. People know I'm joking. You all know I'm joking, don't
Anyway,
you?
that's 10 minutes of 1 hour gone already. Can you believe it? we are
9
talking
minutes.
about lots of things today, including the Netherlands. Oh, very interesting. Now, the reason why I mention this is that you do hear things in the news quite often. And I always think it is best to get an opinion of someone who actually lives in that particular place. So you may have read or heard in the news that in the Netherlands, and this is something a person has written on Twitter. So this is not me saying this, but this is an opinion of someone on Twitter, and I have a feeling that they don't live in the Netherlands. You may have heard the whole government has resigned. Mark Rutte, and a lot of people have been mispronouncing his name, but his name is pronounced Rutte. So Mark Rutte has been forced to resign as his party no longer has control and they cannot rein in immigration. Apparently that's one of the big things they're talking about there. Rutte was trying to seize over 3,000 farms to free up land for immigrants. And the farmers went absolutely crazy. They really did. And they've managed to bring the government down. So he will resign, according to this person on Twitter, as the most unpopular, corrupt leader in Dutch history. Can you believe that? So I'm wondering, Tomek, because you live there, what is your point of view? I wonder, because it's interesting, isn't it? We only get the news that is fed to us. But apparently what they wanted to do, from what I've read, they wanted to take a lot of the land from the farmers. They also wanted to kill over half of the livestock as a way of reducing their carbon emissions.
I know, these sort of ludicrous policies. Other governments want to do this as well. It's been muted and talked about in this country, I think in Germany as well. I mean, it's taking the green agenda to an absolute extreme.
So it is interesting that it's always the same two.
But anyway, yes.
Steve, it's always the same two topics. So the hot topics at the moment are immigration in most countries, especially in Europe, and also the environment. But of all the things I've heard, I think killing half of your cattle to reduce the carbon emissions might be one of the strangest ones I've heard so far. So Thomas, if you are there listening at the moment, but what about your point of view, from your view? Because you are actually there. You are in that country. You are there. You are actually experiencing that in real time. All we are getting is the news. And it might not be accurate, you see. And apparently this coalition took something like 18 months to form. And it's made of a whole group of different parties. And they couldn't agree on anything. So
This is fascinating, by the way. You
It
were having
is.
a go at me at briefly mentioning weed, and you've been going on about politics for the last 5
well,
minutes.
politics isn't illegal. So that's a very
I'm
strange.
talking about what's interesting for people to watch. But anyway,
No, I think it is interesting because we have Tomek, who is there in that country. And it's not very often we get to speak to someone who's actually there. So I wonder what Tomek thinks about it.
well, he said nothing yet.
No, he's probably thinking. He's probably there now, thinking, composing his thoughts carefully.
It's very hot, says Christina. Christina, I didn't think you were going to be on today, but you are, which is lovely to see you. Francesca's here as well. Lots of people and Lewis, all the people that we saw, the lovely people we saw in Paris when we were there. But Christina says it's so hot, very hot to watch the lesson. Well, it's very hot to be giving the lesson.
Yes.
Because it is also very hot here in the UK, close,
Yeah.
as they say, very humid. And difficult to sleep at night.
So we had thunderstorms, we had rain yesterday, but the weather at the moment is very strange. It's so hot. And we have possibly the most annoying thing buzzing around in the garden at the moment. Do you want to see it? Here it is on the screen right now. So there is the thing at the moment that is causing us so much trouble. This tiny little insect. It's only a couple of millimetres long, but there are thousands and thousands of these flying around at the moment. They're called thunderbugs, or some people call them thrips. Some people call them thunder insects or thunderflies as well. Apparently they have lots of different names. But these things at the moment are making our lives a misery, aren't they, Steve?
They're not making my life a misery. They're certainly making your life a misery because you're going outside and they crawl all over your skin. That picture makes them look like they're gigantic.
Yes.
But in fact, they're
Yeah, I just said they're two.
almost invisible.
Yeah, 2 millimetres.
2 millimetres, yes, not centimetres or metres,
Or
millimetres. They are very, very small indeed, and we think it's all to do with the big holly tree that we've got in our garden, but we're not sure. But we have an invasion, a plague
Yes.
of thunderbugs, and they crawl on you, and it's very, very irritating. And you have to keep all the windows shut, which is not what you want to do in hot weather.
You do not.
But for some reason, we've got them all around our house. If you walk 100 yards in any direction away from our house, they're not there. They are just near the big holly tree in our garden. So for some reason, they are hatching out there or doing something, part of their life cycle, and we are literally got millions, probably billions of them flying around. You can't go outside. You literally cannot go outside at the moment.
You get covered with them.
You get covered in them, and they don't bite you, but they crawl on your skin, and it's very irritating.
Yes, it feels really strange. It feels like you've got fleas. But what about you? Have you ever experienced this particular insect? It might be the most annoying insect that buzzes around at this time of year, and it drives people crazy. Talking of driving, by the way, Steve, here is a subject that is very close to your heart, and I know that this is something that maybe you would want to talk about. Now, last week, a lot of people were debating whether or not we should allow large cars on the road, big, heavy cars, because there was a tragedy that took place last week in London. And a lot of people now are saying that there are too many of these big, bulky cars on the road. And if you look at the screen now, you will see, look at that. So there is a picture, and this apparently is the new Land Rover. I think it's the Defender. And they've described it as something that is almost like a weapon. They've put locked and loaded. That is actually from Land Rover. Can you believe that? How insensitive. How insensitive is that?
Well,
They've actually described it as if it's a weapon, though. It's locked and loaded.
They are like weapons on the road. I don't know what your views are on this class of vehicle. Is called an SUV. Sport utility vehicle, but effectively
there it is.
They were really developed for farmers.
So the actual definition, can I just mention the definition, Steve? So an SUV is a rugged vehicle with a truck-like chassis and four-wheel drive designed for occasional off-road use. Now the irony is, of course, Steve, they're rarely used off-road.
Yes, the only time they're used off-road is when people that drive these vehicles on the road decide that they want to go up on the pavement to get out of a traffic jam, which is when you see them inappropriately used. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about these. There has been for a number of years because, well, they're not really designed for the road. They're designed, and I was in London this week.
Mm-hmm.
They call them the Chelsea Tractor because Chelsea is a posh area of London, and many people drive these kinds of vehicles. In a city, they're heavy, they use a lot of fuel, but they make people feel superior because they're higher up.
Yes. I think the other word probably is safe as well. They feel safe in them.
They feel safe in them, but the irony is they probably aren't, because as we discovered by the tragedy that happened this weekend, when you lose control of these types of heavy, high-sided vehicles with a high centre of gravity, it's very difficult to control them. I hate them, and I hate anyone that drives them.
Oh, okay.
I have a pathological hatred because they're essentially bought by people who are very selfish.
Yeah.
Because they're only concerned with their own safety. Because they don't think that if they do something wrong on the road and make a mistake, that they could actually kill somebody because their vehicles are weighing twice as much as anybody else. It doesn't bother them that they actually, because everybody thinks they're a brilliant driver and that they're never going to make a mistake. Always somebody's going to hit them. But of course, what happens is that they make a mistake and then they cause a lot of damage because the vehicles weigh so much. But they don't care because as long as they're safe. So I think the people that drive these are very selfish people. In fact, if I was in power, Mr. Duncan,
Steve.
if I was in power,
Yes.
the first thing I would do is ban them. I would ban all these vehicles from the road unless you were a farmer.
But I don't think you would ever get into power because you'd have to tell people that before you did it. And people don't want to give up their big cars, as we know.
Well, I think they're going to die out because they're not very suitable to becoming electric vehicles.
Well, this is the latest thing.
Because they're so heavy that they need lots of batteries to carry them around, and they weigh ridiculous amounts of money, ridiculous amounts of weight.
Isn't it true, though, that the ones with batteries are close to 3 tons?
Some of them are. In fact, in some European countries, they want them classifying as trucks. They want to put them into the next classification. There's motorbikes, cars, and then they want to put them on the level of trucks, so they have to pay a lot more tax because, of course, they weigh a lot. They wear the road out. They use a lot of fuel, and people that drive them are smug. They feel important. They're taking their children to school in these tanks. And one more thing, I think that these types of SUVs are like nuclear weapons. Because I think, just like nuclear weapons, if one country has them, if somebody has a nuclear weapon, you need one to protect, to feel safe yourself. So what happens is that one person gets them, then everybody else decides they want them because they want to protect themselves against the people that have got these big, heavy cars. And so you get this escalation going on. So that's all I'm going to say. That's my rant for the day, Mr. Duncan. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Yes.
And if anyone is watching that has an SUV, I don't hate you because you're on this channel.
Yeah.
But
So can we just make
I
that...
put it this way, I won't let you out
Ooh.
if you're trying to come out of a road.
Yeah.
I won't let you out. I never let out people in SUVs.
But don't you
they
think-
can wait.
OK, Steve. I'm almost regretting allowing Steve to have this moment because I'm always accused of not letting Steve speak. And I don't think that's true. I always let Steve have a little bit of a conversation about something that he enjoys, and of course cars is one of them. But I do think that drivers are very unusual creatures. People who drive cars, they are very strange, because when they're outside the car, they are completely different people. But as soon as they get behind the wheel of the car, they turn into monsters. And everyone on the road is an idiot, according to each individual driver. So I find that rather interesting. And sometimes you are like that, Steve.
Unfortunately, we have several people watching that have these types of cars. Christina has one.
I'm not surprised.
Of course, she has a bike as well, so you're forgiven. And who else said that they have one? Saturino has one as well. But if you're watching this channel, then we don't mind. We don't mind at all. By the way, Tomek, who couldn't care less about local politics, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Which I can understand, because as we've discussed before, it doesn't seem to matter who gets into power. Nothing really changes.
No. Well, what can I just say? What I find interesting about the what's happening in the Netherlands is because it's a revolt. It's a real old-fashioned revolt. Now, a couple of weeks ago, people were saying that this was happening in Russia, but what we've seen in the Netherlands is a real overthrow from those who are protecting their livelihoods and also their land. It's a real old-fashioned, I'm not going to say coup, because I don't think it is, but it is certainly a protest that has made a genuine difference, because now the government there have gone.
You seem fascinated by this, Mr. Duncan.
I've just told you why I'm fascinated.
I know, I'm just saying, but yes. I know why, but you just seem to be, talking about this a lot.
Yes, we often think of overthrows, though, of being violent. And, for example, maybe in Thailand, where you have military takeovers. So there are coups in certain countries, Thailand being one of them. And it's very interesting. And I suppose Myanmar as well, to a degree. But I think it's just an interesting thing, because it's so close to us. It's Netherlands, it's Europe. It's very interesting that this has happened. It's a big story, probably bigger than we realise, in fact, because I think it might lead to other things happening. So that's what I think. Maybe there will be a chain reaction. It's an interesting word, that chain reaction.
Well, they think that there was a story I read that the riots in Paris may spread to the UK because of just people, getting upset, and that we only need a little spark or a trigger over here. Maybe a policeman accidentally does something.
Yes.
Why do you keep cutting me off, Mr. Duncan?
Or anything.
It's so annoying. And then that will spark off riots in this country. By the way,
Tomek, we won't because we're too lazy.
Well, we've done it before. Tomek's having carrot cake and a coffee. So what I will do when this is ready is I will make some carrot cake and we can have a coffee with it as well.
It will be the world's smallest carrot cake.
No, but you get lots of carrots coming off one plant, don't you?
I don't hold that much hope for that carrot.
Anyway, I've got to be careful what I say about cars, because everybody knows I like Ford Mustangs, and there's plenty to criticise about travelling around in a car with a 5-litre 8-cylinder engine. So I've got to be careful what I say, haven't I?
You are like Lewis Hamilton.
I'm a bit of a hypocrite.
Lewis Hamilton is another one. He's the guy that drives the fuel guzzling cars around a racetrack. And also he has his own private jet, and he likes to show off his wealth and lifestyle. But he supports people who are trying to change the way we use energy and oil and petrol and all the other things. I find that rather strange as well. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's another one, another hypocrite, telling us all not to go on our little holidays every year while he flies around the world, attending world premieres of his films. They're all the same, so you have to be careful, you see, Steve. I don't want any, because I'm very protective of you. I protect you from all the
You'll
ills.
be safe in a Ford Mustang. Actually, we'd probably be safe in a big 4x4.
Well, the irony is you've never driven a Ford Mustang.
No, that is true.
Anyway, you have put so much time and effort over the past 5 or 6 years.
Even this morning.
And you've never driven a Ford Mustang ever.
By the way, what is your car, Christina? I'd like to know, because it may not come in my hated list. It may be outside my hated list,
Yes.
in which case you're excused. But I'm sort of joking. But anyway, there we go.
I'm not sure.
What else are we talking about today?
Well,
Mr.
you
Stone?
get very passionate about these things.
I do.
As
I'm
I've-
afraid I never let people out.
You know, when you are punching the wall and bibbing your horn
driving.
and chasing people up the motorway.
The worst ones are the... actually, the worst one is the Defender. There's another one called the Discovery, which is about the biggest, ugliest car you've ever seen in your life.
Are they both
And
by
Range Rovers as well.
Are they all the same company?
They're all by Land Rover.
Land Rover.
But Mercedes do some pretty great, big, bulky, hideous things, and so do BMW as well.
But what I find interesting is they're trying now to push batteries into these giant cars, which makes them even heavier. So I think they will become even more dangerous as something that might hit other people. So, yes, it's very strange. Anyway, we're talking about something else today, Steve, as well. We're talking about words and phrases connected to cut and snip and slice.
Right.
You know why? Do you know why we're doing that?
No.
Because today we are talking about having plastic surgery. Oh, very interesting. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is you may have seen in the news that Madonna, the big pop star, has been seriously ill recently. It turns out that she had sepsis from recent cosmetic surgery.
Oh, dear.
She, if you haven't noticed, but Madonna does not look like Madonna anymore. I always think of Madonna from the 1980s. She looked amazing and very sexy. And that's something coming from me, I have to say. So she's had plastic surgery. A lot of people are having plastic surgery. Another one is Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow does not look like Barry Manilow anymore. He looks like a showroom mannequin.
They look like they've had their faces melted.
So you can go too far. I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of surgery, a little bit of something. But when you start having parts of your body changed completely, when you start having bits cut off and everything stretched back, just like that picture down there of me having my cosmetic surgery, there you go, you see.
Well, any surgery puts you at risk of an infection.
Yes.
So when you have surgery that's not needed, well, depends on how you view it. So if you have lots and lots of repeated operations, particularly as you get older because your immune system is not so good, so it's not good to have an operation if you don't really need it. And cosmetic surgery isn't something that's going to necessarily save your life.
Yes.
Whereas, I don't know, having a surgery on your heart or other parts of your body, is the risks of the surgery outweigh the benefits of having the risks of having the surgery itself, which is infection and things like that.
They're necessary.
Well, that's what I mean, yes. So there's always a risk to surgery, but that risk is outweighed by the benefit of saving your life, because you might need a bypass or something like that.
Having your nose made slightly smaller isn't going to save your life.
And quite often these cosmetic surgeries are done not in places that have all the necessary equipment. So people go off to countries, Turkey is a popular one, for people to go off and have cosmetic surgery because it's cheap. But are they going to look after you in the same way as if you'd had a major operation in a hospital, monitoring you, ready to treat you for any infection that might come along? Quite often you might have the surgery and then be sent home and then not realise that you've got a serious infection. So I don't think you get monitored in the same way as if you were in hospital having a proper, operation by a surgeon.
Yeah, there is a difference between going to a hospital with trained surgeons all around you and one guy with a scalpel and a piece of rubber tubing sticking it inside you I think there is a big difference between those things. But the other thing, of course, is it's been proven that if you have general anaesthetic too many times, eventually it does kill you because your body can't stand the strain. So every time you go under with general anaesthetic, and if you have cosmetic surgery, you have to have that done many, many times, it does actually shorten your life. And many people who've had it, I can name at least a couple of people. Pete Burns from a pop group called Dead or Alive. He had lots and lots of cosmetic surgery and he died of heart failure. And that's what happens later in life. So you do, unfortunately, pay the price if you have too much unnecessary surgery.
Of course, sometimes you need to have a bit of cosmetic surgery to cover up something that you've had done to you, like skin cancer. Rosa has mentioned here. Thank you for sharing that, Rosa, that you had to have a little bit of plastic surgery to, which you would do,
yes,
if you've had to have something removed from a visible part of your body,
yes,
and you wouldn't want to be showing that. You'd want that to be.
But that's a very different. That is a different thing again, because it's
Yes.
probably seen as necessary. But there are people who just look in the mirror and they say, "Oh, I wish I was younger. Oh, I think I will just have big pieces of skin taken away from the side of my face and then everything pulled back." We often describe that thing, Steve, as a facelift. You have a facelift, and that's something that lots of famous actresses had in the 1960s, 1970s. I think one was Elizabeth Taylor. Now, I think Elizabeth Taylor did have plastic surgery, facelifts, maybe 2 or 3 times. And there was always that speculation, wasn't there, about famous actresses. Did they or did they not?
But quite often in those days, back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they might have had plastic surgery, but it was more subtle, I think. Whereas now, a lot of people go to extremes.
Yeah.
They have their lips done and all that. Of course, as Tomek points out, if people want to have plastic surgery, it's up to them. It's their choice. Is it for us to criticise? We're not criticising it. We're just sort of...
No, well, I'm not criticising it.
Talking about it and
anyway,
pointing
Florence,
out some of the risks.
We've got Florence here. I had to have plastic surgery on my face when I was young after an accident with my brother's bike because I was injured badly. So yes, it can be used in those situations. But if you decide one day that you want to have your body chopped up, and the only reason is complete and utter vanity, because you're worried about your self-image completely, like Madonna. I mean, she has destroyed her face completely. It doesn't even look like her, does it, anymore? I mean, that's it, and it's made her ill. So she's been very, very ill recently because of it.
Pedro says, can we say hello to his friend who he has introduced to this channel?
Is it Juki?
It is. So I can't see you on the live chat, but maybe you're sitting right by Pedro right now.
Well, he might be there, but not saying anything.
Yeah, so hello, Juki or Jucky. I would imagine it's Juki. I don't know for certain, but yes. I'm hoping that's the right pronunciation.
Hello, and I hope you are enjoying this, what you're watching right now. I really do.
Tomek is considering plastic surgery and enlargement. It's not what I heard. I heard you needed a reduction, but anyway, that's just a joke.
Another phrase, we can say that a person goes under the knife, because, of course, a lot of cosmetic surgery involves cutting. We are looking at some words and phrases connected to cutting in a few moments. We might also have, this is the old-fashioned word, Steve, for having cosmetic surgery. You might have a nip and tuck. So this is the old way of saying that you are having maybe a facelift. You're having your face lifted. Literally, what they do is they take away the skin around your ears and they pull everything back and then stitch everything back round your ear. And it leaves a very tiny scar, but it's almost invisible.
In the old days, the actresses who were getting on in years and still wanted to look beautiful on screen, they used to have clips. They used to pull the skin back and clip it at the back to make them look good on the silver screen.
Yeah. The other thing they used to do is put Vaseline on the lens of the camera as well. So if an actress wanted to look beautiful, sometimes they would just smear Vaseline or something onto the lens to make it look a little bit more diffused.
Palmyra says that is it true that in Brazil you can get cheap plastic surgery?
Oh,
I know we hear about a lot of it in Turkey here. A lot of people go to Turkey from the UK for cheap plastic surgery.
quite often hair transplants
Hair transplants.
and dental work.
Dental work. What's very common in this country as well is, as you say, dental work, having all your teeth knocked out, straightened and very whitened. Botox, that's not plastic. Well, I don't know whether that's counted as plastic surgery
It
or
is
not.
no, it's. I think it's cosmetic surgery or enhancement. That's the word they use nowadays. So instead of surgery, they just use the word enhancement. So you are enhancing your looks.
But things like a bit of filler in your lips and Botox is very common. I know a lot of colleagues, I must say they're female colleagues, I don't know, well, there may be some male colleagues, but they're not admitting to it, go regularly to have Botox put in around their eyes. I don't know where else you have it done. And many people now, you don't have to be a doctor to do this. Many clinics have popped up in the high street that will just give you an injection of Botox. I don't think you need a tremendous amount of training
Yeah, here in Much Wenlock.
to do it.
Here in Much Wenlock, you can have cosmetic enhancement. Maybe we can go there and have a look and see what they can do with this and yours. Although, to be honest with you, look at this face. Look, is there any way of improving that? Really, be honest with me, viewers. Be honest. Can you change any of that? I think Michelangelo should have actually put this on the top of David.
Oh.
And then everything else would have matched. You see?
I'd rather have the body
Well, that's what I
of
just
David.
said. Yes.
Yes. Anyway,
If you put your head on top of it, then everything would match. I'm paying you a compliment.
by the way, we've got to say, we can't say Turkey, we've got to say Turkey.
Turkiya.
Turkiya. We've always called it Turkey, which is strange, isn't it, when you think about it? It's after something you eat at Christmas. Turkiya. Fernando, are you from Turkey? And if so, if anyone else is watching from Turkey, would you prefer
Turkiya.
Turkiya rather than Turkey?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that because that's the actual pronunciation of the country by people who live in Turkiya.
It's a bit like how we now pronounce Kiev as Kyiv. We always used to say Kiev. And a popular dish called chicken Kiev, which you had while I was away last week.
I didn't.
I thought you were going to.
That's still in the freezer.
Oh, that's in the freezer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But what I was going to say, and also the UK. The UK, a lot of people say UK, but in fact the real pronunciation is yuck. Because that's what a lot of people in this country say nowadays about their lives. They say, what is life like living in the UK? And they say, yuck.
It's not bad, Mr. Duncan.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot worse. You could be in some very nasty countries right now. Christina is so hot, she's under an umbrella in the beach. Well, we're glad you're under an umbrella because you will be protecting your skin against the UV rays,
Yes.
which is the main cause of skin aging.
Anyway, you might have, Steve, back to our...
My
because
mother,
we
Olga.
have,
my
we have
mother. Can
16
I just
minutes.
say something? My
Okay.
mother had lovely skin, Olga. So I'm hoping that when I get older, I will, people will be saying, your wonderful skin. Oh, how do you keep it looking so nice? Which is what my mother used to get all the time.
People will often have a nose job. They might have their nose reduced or changed in some way, the shape. Some people think their noses are too wide or too big. Maybe they think it sticks out too much. I think my nose is almost too small. Steve, however, Steve has a proud nose, don't you? That's a real Roman nose.
Noble is the word, Mr. Duncan. Noble, as in like the aristocracy, or like an old warrior who is very brave. Noble.
Steve's,
by the way, yes.
Steve's nose is Roman all over his face. Yes.
In the US, says Saturino, lots of women get the Brazilian butt lift.
I've had that.
Yes, so the butt being your buttocks, having them lifted so they're not saggy. Yes. And some people have them enlarged, don't they? They have their buttocks made to look bigger, making them look maybe a bit strange. But if they feel good about it, then fine.
That's it. That's what it is. The Brazilian butt lift is literally that. They put silicone inside your butt cheeks. I had it done, but unfortunately it gave me a humped back. I think they put too much in, to be honest. You might have a tummy tuck as well. A lot of men these days are having certain types of surgery to make their stomachs smaller or not so large as well. I mentioned nose surgery. This is the name for nose surgery, rhinoplasty, which I think is almost an insult when you think about it. So you're having an operation on your nose and they call it rhinoplasty because they're saying that your nose is like a rhinoceros. Just for the women, Steve, a boob job. You see? Right. Yes, boobs, breasts. So some women might have their breasts enlarged. Some might have them...
Did we need the...
Yes, we did need it. Some women might have very large breasts and they want them small.
Yes, because I had a friend who had very large breasts, and she talked openly about them. They were gigantic, which you would think it probably made her very attractive to men. But of course, it's very uncomfortable for women can be very uncomfortable for women who have very large breasts, and carrying all that weight around, you get backache and all sorts of things, and you can have them reduced. But it's a very risky surgery. Apparently, it's very risky. Who was famous, Mr. Duncan, for back in the sort of 70s and 80s? For having a singer who had very large breasts, and they seemed to get bigger every time she brought out a new album. Well, the country singer.
The only person I can think of is Dolly Parton.
Yes, Dolly Parton was always been very famous.
But she maintains. Don't forget, I don't want to get sued because Dolly Parton is quite sensitive to everything and she likes suing people. So Dolly Parton says that her breasts are real.
Well, of course she will. They probably are. Let's assume they are, but let's also assume that they look suspiciously artificial.
Yes. Who was the other? There was another one. Was it Raquel Welch as well?
No, hers were all real, I think.
Yes, but she had large breasts. This seems like the wrong thing for us to be talking about on a Sunday afternoon. But anyway, it does...
I always remember, Mr. Duncan, Raquel Welch. When I was young... And before I had realised what really attracted me in life, I had big posters of Raquel Welch on my bedroom wall because she was in that famous film 3 million years BC or something. Do you remember that film? That was when I was growing up, when I was a young teenager. Raquel Welch in 3 million years BC was the film to watch that got all the boys excited. And we all had posters of Raquel Welch on our bedroom walls. I had a poster. I didn't know why I had it. I wasn't particularly attracted to it, but I still had a poster of her on my bedroom wall.
Maybe you want. Maybe at some point you want to look like her. So maybe Steve will be having a little bit of a change. Maybe a little long blonde hair, and I can see you with long blonde hair, and maybe some lovely pert.
She had a very nice figure. She was wearing a skimpy sort of barely covering her
Okay.
breasts. It was a bra that was obviously made out of leather or something.
Good.
But of course, the irony of all these films
Mm.
where they show humans and dinosaurs together, she was fighting Tyrannosaurus Rexes and things like
and
that.
you still think that the film was called 3 million years BC?
I think it was called that.
It
yeah.
wasn't.
Well, something like that. What was it
It's-
called then?
I think it was, wasn't it 2,000 years BC? Just
Maybe someone will
you're
tell
just
us.
slightly off there.
Maybe someone will tell us. But the lunacy of it, of course, is humans were never around when dinosaurs were alive.
Whatever religious people tell you, whatever Christians tell you, human beings and dinosaurs were never together. There are a few 100,000 years.
A million years
Yeah. Well, I'm just generally.
apart.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. There were no humans when dinosaurs were around.
Here we go. Another one that people have.
1 million years BC, says Nitron.
Oh,
Thank
so-
you for that.
Well, you may have been nearer than me. Ironically,
But it was probably...
Steve, enough of Raquel Welch. We've had enough of her. Weight loss surgery is something that people have now. They do. And there are many ways of doing it. You can have your stomach, this is amazing, I still can't believe this is reality. You can have your stomach stapled and they tie something around it, a big elastic band, and they make your stomach smaller so you are not tempted to put so much food inside yourself. That is quite... There's something strange about that. I don't know why.
Well, it's advertised, isn't it? Weight loss surgery, having your stomach clipped. It's
Yes.
advertised on the television here, almost as though it's normal.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to lose weight, well, just have your stomach stapled.
Yes.
It's advertised as something normal, whereas in reality, it's a very extreme thing to do, to have surgery. I mean, I know there's always people who struggle with their weight, and we shouldn't criticise, of course.
I'm not criticising.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, generally, because for some people, that is the last resort. And it does seem to work.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen programmes. It does, but it's advertised on television almost like this is the first thing you would do,
Yeah.
not the last thing.
Well, everyone wants the quick fix now. They don't want to work. Maybe put a lock on your fridge door. Maybe when you're buying or you're shopping online, don't click so often on chocolate bars, something like that. So maybe, I mean, that's just my advice. Instead of paying thousands of pounds to have your guts messed around with, and then they shove everything back inside, and of course there are risks involved. You might get an infection. You might suffer ill health afterwards. So you have to be very careful. All surgery has a risk. It really does.
By the way, you used the phrase boob job earlier on.
Yes.
Somebody whose name I shan't mention,
Okay.
said that what do you call an operation on cosmetic
Yes.
surgery on your hand?
Yeah. Okay, Steve.
Anyway, we won't go into that.
Well, I did
but,
delete that. You see. 'cause
Oh,
it-
you deleted it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, anyway. Right. Okay. That's a different kind of action. But there you go.
Good. Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Move on, Mr. Duncan. Move
Yeah.
on. We haven't got much time. We've got to go at 2, 3.
Well, no, we're not going at 2 unless we're here for 24
I think
hours.
we'll go over a bit, won't we, today?
Would you ever have plastic surgery? Oh.
Have you had it?
Yeah. Would you ever have it?
Would you admit to it? Would you admit to it if you had it?
So I think, to be honest, I think everyone has thought about it in their lives. Maybe when you stand in front of the mirror. I did this morning. I was having a shave and I looked down and then I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh dear, it's all going down. It's all going down. Gravity. I'm sure gravity on this planet has become heavier. I think there's more gravity because my body seems to be going downwards more and more as I get older. Everything seems to be round my knees. So we've all thought about it, having a little bit of a nip, a little bit of a tuck, a little bit of pulling, maybe.
Yes, Palmyra says her colleague had to have a breast reduction because of back problems. Yes, well, I can imagine
Yeah.
it. They must weigh a lot.
But the husband was very disappointed.
Maybe. I don't know. But yes, it's interesting. It's an interesting subject. It's amazing how only plastic surgery was only available for very rich people like film stars, but now more and more people are having it that aren't necessarily film stars but sort of ordinary people spending a lot of money nevertheless, but maybe instead of buying a new car, maybe you would keep your car for longer and have some enhancement somewhere. But I think when you get to a certain age, I think you stop worrying. I think when you've gone through, when you were younger, like losing your hair, like I started losing my hair in my 20s, it was very traumatic for me at the time, Mr. Duncan. There was I don't think you could get any form of cosmetic surgery then. I think you could probably get it.
No.
But it was very expensive, so I would never ever consider having it done.
Okay, then.
But
Steve.
maybe if I was in my 20s now, maybe I would consider it, because I found it very traumatic at the time, but I don't care about it now. But if I wouldn't go and have a hair transplant, but if they developed some simple solution that you could rub on that would make your hair grow back, I would do it.
Yes. Well, I know that doesn't exist because Elton John, have you seen Elton John? For the past 25 years, Elton John has worn the worst, I don't know why he does it, but he's a multi-millionaire and he can't even afford a decent wig. His wig looks like something you buy from a fancy dress shop, to be honest.
I know. So I can understand if you have something that you think reduces your attractiveness, which is what, when I started losing my hair, I felt very, very self-conscious. And I felt that nobody would be attracted to me and people, back in the 80s when it happened, people always joked and, oh, you're going bald, and it's not very nice for a man. Today, it's not so bad because it's very normal to shave your hair very short on a man. But in the 80s, it wasn't. If you shaved your head like that, would have looked very weird. It doesn't.
They would think you were a prisoner or something.
Yes, nobody did it back then. It was the fashion for having very short hair and shaving it if you're going bald wasn't the fashion then. So it was very fashionable to have a comb over. Anyway, yes, I can understand why people do. Yes, because I can understand why some people do decide to have some form of plastic surgery because. Whether it's the nose, breasts, whatever, because how it makes you feel. Now I've got over that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily mind. Once you've gone through that trauma,
okay,
you no longer care so much about your appearance. There's nothing you can do about it anyway.
No, that's it.
Olga says lots of women, most women, Olga says, find a man's baldness attractive.
They don't.
Well, the thing is, I'm not interested in women being attracted to me. What about men?
No, both. No one wants a bald man. I mean, come on.
Not sure that's true.
That rumour was started by a bald man at some point.
Well, no, Olga is saying, and
I think Olga, bless your heart, Olga, you are just being kind to us. I know you. You love us so much and you don't want us to feel sad, but we know the truth. Rich and loads of hair on your head. And that's it. That's the truth, I'm afraid.
Beatrice says, sometimes it's very sad to see great actors totally transformed by cosmetic surgery. Yes, it is, because you want to see people growing old gracefully. And I think if you were very attractive when you were young, you would remain attractive when you were older. Robert Redford, see, he famously didn't have any cosmetic surgery. He had a very lined, wrinkled face when he got older. Is he still alive, Robert Redford?
Robert Redford is still alive.
But he always remained looking attractive because he was attractive when he was younger. So, there was
Also, his name's Robert Redford.
Well, that's it.
He could literally look like a giant shriveled walnut. But as long as he's called Robert Redford, people will go.
But he's still got that bone structure there, that attractiveness, and he hasn't lost his hair.
It's Robert Redford.
What about oh God, what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name. I don't think he's had any surgery. He's in Top Gun. Tom Cruise. I wonder if he doesn't look as though he's had any cosmetic surgery. If he has, it looks very, very realistic.
He doesn't look good in real light. He was at a film premiere recently being interviewed, and he does look his age. He's the same age as you, Mr. Steve. So he's 62, but he does look a bit older now, as you can see his face. So I think you're right. I don't think Tom Cruise actually has plastic surgery, but I think they do a little bit of de-aging in his movies. Right. You see, like the new Indiana Jones film, there are lots of sequences with Harrison Ford, and they are supposed to be happening in the past, and they've de-aged his face to make him look younger. But in real life, of course, a lot of people now think that you should try to keep your youth for as long as possible.
Yes, Olga says, my husband was bald when I met him. So, okay.
We have 1 minute.
Well, we can go over a bit. Have we got anything to do?
I want a bit of free time with you. You're back at work tomorrow. The day is over.
I've been here all day, yes. Simon Cowell, he hasn't had anything done either.
What? Whoa.
What's the matter?
Simon Cowell has had so much plastic surgery over the past 10 years, he doesn't look anything like he used to.
Oh, Simon, I'm thinking of somebody else. Yes, Simon Cowell's had lots of plastic surgery. Simon Callow I was thinking of, who's an actor. Yeah. Yes, Simon Cowell, yes, he's had loads.
Simon Cowell is... I always think his face is very unusual. It looks like two different faces stuck together. If you look at Simon Cowell, his upper face looks like a different person, and then his lower face looks like another face has been attached to it. And I've always thought that for years and years. I know we shouldn't be talking about people's looks, but I'm not an oil painting. I'm not beautiful, even though lots of people say I am. I mean, I know you're only human, and sometimes you do make mistakes.
Yes, that's right, Beatrice, because you can't express yourself. They can't, because the muscles have been cut or they've been dulled with Botox. You can't make the expressions. But I suppose people still go to watch them. So
watch what?
Watch people, actors and actresses that have had... Yes. I think they go to watch them just to see what they look like now.
One of the things... Well, you don't have to now. You can de-age yourself in movies. You don't... I mean, we could be... For all you know out there, we could actually be using some special software to make ourselves look younger. Perhaps we just look like a couple of giant walnuts.
Well, this is interesting. Yeah. I mean, we could ask the lovely people that met us in Paris... Mm-hmm. Lewis.
Do you want to do that?
And Tomek and Beatrice and Christina, Patrick, and I've failed on the last name, Francesca, who, by the way, was going to watch. Who last night? Yes. Francesca was watching Guns N' Roses, and I think you're still on. Yes, you are, Francesca. Was it a good concert is what we want to know. But anyway...
okay, Steve.
What I was saying was...
Just calm down. Just take it down slightly.
All right. Did we look any different in real life?
You're all over the place.
Did we look any different in real life than we do here on the live stream? Did we look younger, older, or about the same?
Yes.
So here's to the people that met us in Paris. Do we look the same in real life than we do on here?
What kind of question is that?
Well, I just want to know.
Well, yeah, but they might say, "Oh no, you look really, really ugly and old in real life."
I'm just interested because we've got the lights on our faces. Okay, do we look younger here than we do,
Steve,
in real life?
Don't take away this. All I have is this slither of self-confidence on here. If I lose this, I'm dead.
All right, then me. Just comment on me then.
Just say that. Can you just say you both look exactly the same in real life? And also a lot of people say, "Are we like this in real life?" And if you've met us, you know that we are like this in real life.
Dominic says we look the same. So thank you for that.
Okay then.
That's good. Yes, and I think actually you look younger than your picture.
Nitram says you look you can be beautiful on the inside. Thanks. That's what we often say to people when we're being kind. No, it doesn't matter how you look. It's what's on the inside that's important.
Beatrice, of course, has said the right thing, that in fact we look younger in real life than we do on the live stream. That's probably because Mr. Duncan's always upsetting me on the live stream, so I look sort of angry and haggard. But I'm joking, of course.
But you know, of course, now what we're like. So people have actually met us in real life in Paris.
Yes.
So now that we can't escape it. Well, we could pretend to be anything we want here. But if you meet someone for real, it's very hard to hide your true self. So now you've seen us in real life. Yeah, so
Mark Knopfler.
What?
Musician. What band is he in?
Dire Straits.
Dire Straits, yes.
Mark Knopfler.
Knopfler. There we go.
Yeah. Did you know that Dire Straits was originally satirical? It was a satirical rock group. They were actually making fun of rock and roll artists. Like I think Bruce Springsteen and people like that. So they were actually making fun. I think Money for Nothing is one of their greatest hits. But also it's being very sarcastic about the music industry and about the way people seem to have an easy life. So Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, a brilliant tune.
Kajagoogoo. That was always one of my favourite bands when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Kajagoogoo.
Good.
They were very they were pretty boys, weren't they? But I like the music as well as their aesthetics, shall we say. Aesthetics. There's a good word, Mr. Duncan. Aesthetics. Your appearance, what you look like.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, the appearance of something, the overall feeling that you get when you look at something, the aesthetics, the shape, the size, the colour, how beautiful it is.
Are you aesthetic? Do you? And it's usually it's usually used in a positive way, isn't it?
You don't describe people as aesthetic. You look at the overall appearance. So the aesthetics of something is the overall opinion, the view that you get when you look at someone or something. Linda Hamilton. Oh my goodness. Now there is a name I haven't heard for a long time.
Was Linda Hamilton in that thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Was that Linda Hamilton?
Terminator. She was?
That's it. She was brilliant. Nobody can recreate that
we're
part.
going. Yes, I don't really want to talk about the Terminator, to be honest, because
one of my favourite films.
We've got some other things to talk about, Steve, before you go off.
Have we got a little game to play?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
So we have some. I've already mentioned all of this already. We're going to talk about cut, snip, and slice. So these are interesting words used in English. Cut, snip, and slice. And there you can see over there, if you're wondering, that's Mr. Steve, by the way, as a surgeon. And he's holding his big, sharp scalpel.
Have I got to tie that on, Mr. Duncan?
Yes. Well, you've got your green scrubs. You're wearing your scrubs over your clothing and you're about to perform surgery on me, you see. So there's me having my facelift. By the way, that photograph has been altered. Originally, that's actually a still from a brilliant movie called Brazil by Terry Gilliam. And it's a wonderful dystopian movie. You don't like it. We watched it once and you hated it. But I like it. I think it's a good film. Brazil. Watch it. It's a great movie. And we are looking at cut, snip and slice.
Even better was The French Connection, which we watched last night.
We did.
With Gene Hackman.
Yes.
It was, made in 1971, was it?
I think it's the early 70s it was made. It won all of the Oscars. It won so many awards. And I do like Gene Hackman. Retired now. He's in his early 90s now.
He looked old then, even in the 1970s.
Yes, but
But it was a very good film, and it had a lovely car chase in it. It's great.
a lovely car chase.
Had a wonderful car chase. It's a famous car chase.
You know what we did last night? We went down the M1 motorway at 100 miles an hour. It was a lovely car chase. We had a lovely car chase last night.
Yes, he commandeers a vehicle to chase somebody on a train in the busy streets of was it New York? I presume it was New York. And so he commandeers this vehicle. He stops it and tells the owner to get out and says, "I'm a policeman. I need your vehicle." And of course, you just know that vehicle is going to be wrecked by the end of the car chase, and sure enough, it is. So that man was never going to get his car back.
Definitely not.
in
no.
one piece.
So the word cut can be used in many ways. I'm going to go through this very quickly, Steve.
Okay.
As a verb, cut means to use a sharp object, to dig into something, so as to make an incision. I like that word, incision. So to cut something, when you cut something, you normally leave a mark or maybe even damage to the surface of what you are cutting. We call that an incision. An incision is the result of cutting into something.
Usually done in an accurate way, isn't it? An incision is implying that you're doing this deliberately. It's not like an accident.
No. So quite often in surgery, a cut is the damage caused. So we are using that as a noun. To remove part of something using a sharp instrument is cut. So you can cut something to make an incision or even remove something. You can cut something out. To remove something is to cut off. To remove, to sever, to chop off, or to split as well. So you are dividing something.
That can be used in other ways, that phrase, can it? Can't it? Cut off.
Yes,
You can cut somebody off.
Yes, as I'm going to mention.
Not talk to them anymore.
Yeah, as I'm going to mention in a moment.
Okay.
To make small slices is to cut into pieces a slice of bread or a slice of cake. To cut off, there we go, can be used to describe the removal of a surface or some sort of supply.
Yeah, so you could cut off your finger, or you could cut off your electricity supply.
Like
It's the
here,
same thing.
they have cut off the gas supply. They have cut off the funding for the project. I think my voice is about to be cut off. A person might cut off someone. Here we go. This is what you said. A person might cut off someone by excluding them or ignoring them. So you cut them off or you cut them out.
You can cut them out, cut somebody out of your will who has displeased you in some way.
Yes.
And you can say, "I'm cutting you out of my will because you've done something against the family, maybe." But then, of course, when you do that, you're likely to get murdered, as we've seen in every episode practically of Columbo.
Okay.
Quite often, somebody says,
Is that your reference of real life?
"Cutting
then?
you out of the will," and sure enough, sooner or later.
Steve's reference of real life is episodes of Columbo. He has
Quite often, Mr. Duncan,
Steve.
our moderators will cut people off on the live stream
Yes, and
for
sometimes
being naughty.
sometimes they're co-presenters. He has cut off all contact with his.
Just using another example, Mr. Duncan, to
Yeah.
help people understand.
I've got examples here, though.
I know, but you know.
He has cut off all contact with his father. Yeah, he probably deserves it.
We will cut off a certain person from the live stream if they are being naughty, and that's
Yes.
what the moderators do.
Yes, we don't normally say cut off though. We normally say kick out or block these days.
But you could say that.
Yes, if you were 80. Reduce the size or amount of something can be cut back. You cut back. You are reducing the size of something or the shape of something. You cut back. You reduce the size or the amount of something. Quite often used in sentences. He will cut back the bushes tomorrow. Mr. Steve last week was cutting his bush because it was getting very thick. It was growing a lot, so you had to trim your bush, didn't you?
No comment, Mr. Duncan.
And we need to make cutbacks to save money. We can also use other words as well. Cut, slice, hack, chop, incise, quarter, score, scratch. They are all types of cut. Some of them deep and some of them
Are you going to explain them?
not so deep.
Are you going to explain them?
No,
Oh, okay.
wait there, Steve. I've got okay. Wait there. Let's go back then. There we go, Steve.
Yes, cut something. You can cut a piece of paper with a knife or with a pair of scissors. If you slice something, that means like slicing into a carrot. Lots of little pieces come off. If you hack something, you would probably, it's just sort of nothing accurate about that. You might hack into a tree. You might hack into the undergrowth using a machete. You might hack somebody to death. You're just sort of using a blade to randomly hit somebody in a non-accurate way, in a sort of a random way. You chop if you're chopping into a tree to cut it down. You chop. You're using a lot of force, using an axe, for example. Incise. Yeah, if you incise, what does that mean, Mr. Duncan?
It's very similar to, well, think of your teeth when you bite into something. You separate something with pressure, normally from a very heavy or hard object. And of course, also, if you press a scalpel onto the skin, it will incise. So the sharpness and the weight of the thing pressing down will actually cut into it.
An incisor.
Yes.
If you quarter something, that means you're cutting it into four. Hung, drawn and quartered. That means that somebody was an old way of really killing somebody in a very medieval and nasty way. You would cut them into four pieces and their guts would spill out. If you score something, that means like a piece of paper, and you don't cut through it, so you use something with a sharp edge to make a mark like that.
But we can't see what you're doing there.
Which means you can fold it easily. So you might use the blunt end of a blade to just very lightly make a mark into the paper or the cardboard, not enough to go all the way through. It might be just into a small portion of the surface, enough that you can just fold it easily. That's how you score something.
It's very similar to scratch. So scratch and score can often be used as synonyms as well.
When you score something, it's normally like a straight line. You use a sharp object to make a mark into the paper, not enough to go cut all the way through, just enough to make it easy to fold. If you scratch something, you know what a scratch is. It's a sort of using nail, and you scratch somebody. I might scratch Mr's face.
Well, it's a type of mark left.
That's it, by a cat.
Okay, or a woman.
There we go. Hope you found that useful.
Then we have snip. Snip. We can snip the last 5 minutes of this live stream out. Small cut. A removal of something.
Yes, you might snip the flowers off a plant. Snip. It's an accurate sort of. You're taking something accurately off by snipping it.
Yes, a small cut, or the removal of something as well. We need to snip the edges of this photograph.
And you'd normally use a pair of scissors for that.
Yes, or a knife, of course. You can still snip something as just to mean remove. So to snip something, you snip something off. You are cutting it. You are removing it.
Small pieces of something.
You might show a snippet you might reveal a small amount or maybe give a quick glimpse of something. We might see something like that in a few moments. We might be watching Mr. Steve cutting his bush in a few moments. That'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that. To slice off. Ooh, do you remember years ago there was, what was his name? Wayne Bobbitt. Do you remember Wayne?
I do, yes.
Wayne Bobbitt?
Oh, yeah.
Poor old Wayne Bobbitt. He lost his bobbit, to be honest, because I think it was his wife caught him cheating, and she sliced off a certain part of his body.
While he was asleep.
Can you imagine waking up? Imagine for a moment, men, waking up to that.
I should think it woke him up.
Yes.
Yes, that's a woman's ultimate revenge on a man. Did she go to prison?
I think she did, yes. I think if you are severing or slicing off parts of another human being, I think you do tend to go to prison for it. A small portion is a slice. Slice. Would you like another slice of cake? No, you shouldn't, because you're watching your weight. Do you like that? It's a little poem there. I call that slice of cake, that poem.
Tomek had a slice of carrot cake earlier with his coffee.
Okay. Oh, is that it?
I'm just using the word slice in a sentence, Mr. Duncan, to clarify the use of that word.
Good. By the way, Steve last week was in the garden. He was doing something very interesting. Would you like to have a look? He was cutting his bush. He was. And I have to say, Mr. Steve's bush looks very nice and tidy.
Were you filming it, Mr. Duncan, by any chance?
Don't worry about that, Steve. Here comes the clip that I just mentioned. And there it was, Mr. Steve in the garden trimming his bush. So that was actually
the plant.
That was actually 2 years ago. But you were doing exactly the same thing last week.
I was.
Wearing the same clothes.
Week before, not last week. Because last week I was at work, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
The week before.
Yes, you did it. Well, I think you did it the weekend.
It's very tough on your shoulders. It really makes your arms ache because it's a heavy machine
Yes.
even though it's only electric.
Well, it's really designed for real men, you see, not us. We're not real men.
I managed to cope, Mr. Duncan.
I'm not a real man, and Steve isn't. Together, if we stand like this together, very close to each other, we almost may make one real man. But apart, I don't know what this is.
No chance.
I don't know what this is, to be honest.
Are we going, Mr. Duncan?
No, we're not going just yet.
All right,
I mean,
okay.
now that we've stayed on this long, we might as well wait for the next 45 minutes. So there you go.
Well, I'll go.
Oh, okay. Why? I thought you wanted to stay longer. So,
Well, not for another hour.
So now Steve doesn't want to stay longer.
I didn't say I wanted to stay for another hour. I just said I wanted to stay to extend the lesson a little bit, so that you could use all your pre-prepared materials, Mr. Duncan.
Well, I've got loads more, so yeah.
How are you ever going to fit these all into an hour?
Look at this, Steve. Steve, we have a mystery idiom to finish with today.
Okay.
So this is a well-known phrase connected to the thing we've been talking about, cosmetic surgery, having things sliced. So there it is. There is a mystery idiom, and we're going to finish with that for the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
So we are going in 5 minutes, for those wondering.
Going in 5 minutes.
Going in 5 minutes.
Giving you a 5-minute warning.
Going in 5 minutes. Going in 5 minutes.
Mystery idiom.
So are you enjoying your new job so far, even though at the moment it's just training, isn't it?
It's just training, yes, lots of training, but I wouldn't mind. Yeah, it's all the IT side of things which I'm finding I'm struggling with. There are so many systems to learn and things like that it's very frustrating because there's just too much of it. People's jobs. I'm supposed to be somebody that does sales, but I would say 50% of my job is spent trying to navigate around how to use IT equipment and software. Whereas in the old days, I used to just phone up my customers, make an appointment, go and see them, and write down on a piece of paper what I'd said, and that was it.
Yes.
But now you have to be online, you have to be on this system and that system. They've all got their own separate passwords, and then you've got a phone, you've got an iPad, you've got all these different things, and it makes life very, very complicated.
I remember when I first met you, Steve, everything you had connected to your job at that time was in a giant filing cabinet, and everything was on paper. And this is before everyone started using computers. Yes, it was that long ago, by the way. The 1980s.
I didn't even have a mobile phone.
We met in the 1980s.
Bella's using a good... are you going to put that idiom up again, Mr. Duncan? People have probably forgotten what it was.
Okay, then. Well, don't give the answer yet.
No, I won't give the answer. So,
Okay.
yes, while we're talking, please give us the answer to that idiom.
Mystery idiom time.
Bella says, has used a phrase here, I'm sorry, I'm cutting ties with you because you're ignoring me.
Okay.
So
I just
I
literally told you not to read that out.
Did you? No, I think Bella's just using that as an example of how you can...
Well, no, it's the mystery idiom, the answer.
Oh. Okay. Well done, Bella. Well done, Bella. She may or may not be right. But anyway, no, that is a good use of the word cutting and ties.
Anyway, well, that's it. That's all the material used up. So the answer to the mystery idiom, as given away just by Steve, is...
I didn't know it was the answer to the mystery idiom, Mr.
No.
Duncan.
Well, yeah, okay then. Right, okay, there it is. Cutting ties. The meaning, to sever or end a connection with a person or an organisation, or to distance yourself from a group you had joined. You cut your ties. You are severing your connection to them.
And I hope you don't mean, Bella, that you are cutting your ties with us, because we're certainly not ignoring you. And we certainly aren't taking it personally, because you were just showing the answer to the idiom, which I didn't realise.
Right.
I thought Bella was being very clever there.
I'm not attacking anyone, Steve.
I know, nor am I.
No. It's thundering, by the way. Thunder and lightning is coming, everyone.
It's in the forecast.
Which can only mean one thing.
The thrips will go away and hide.
Yeah. Tomek says go. I know, I agree with you, Tomek. Tomek is saying, why don't you finish the
He wants
live...
another piece of carrot cake, that's why.
Okay. Why not? That's what I say. Thank you very much for your company today, by the way. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, there are new English short lessons, short clips, and I'm putting new ones on almost every day. There will be some new ones next week, so look after those. Look out for those. Underneath this video, right underneath, the playlist is underneath. It's down there, roughly where my where my knees are. There we go. I kept that clean. I did well there. So that's it. We're going now. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. English Addict will be back next Sunday with myself, and maybe, if he's good, if he behaves himself, maybe Mr. Steve will be here as well. So that will be nice, won't it?
It will be. Interestingly enough, Nitram has said, one of the rules of showbiz is to at least pretend you like each other.
Well, we do like each other.
I think that's a very good observation, Nitram. I think we shall end on that.
We're not pretending. In fact, we're probably more pretending not to like each other. But it's all good fun. This is what happens, you see, when you know someone, and being serious here, when you know someone for 34 years, this is what happens to you. It's like an old married couple. So when two people have been together sharing their lives for a long time and they know each other quite well, this is what happens. You can make fun. You can say things that you wouldn't normally say to another person because you know each other, you see. They say that familiarity breeds contempt, and it's true. It is very true.
Well done to Bella for guessing the idiom.
Yes, and thank you for Steve for not giving the competition chance to breathe. That's good.
Well, you wanted to go. Right. Bye, everyone. I'm going.
He has an answer for everything. You can't outsmart Mr. Steve.
Well, I haven't been in sales for 30-odd years for nothing.
Yes, they certainly have been odd years. Definitely. See you next week, and also I will see you during the week with my short lessons. This is Mr. Duncan and
Mr. Steve
saying thank you for watching. See you soon. Take care of yourselves, and of course, until the next time we meet, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ta-ta for now.
Right, I'm off.